Discipline is often misunderstood in modern times. Many people associate it with fleeting willpower or bursts of motivation, treating it as a surface-level habit that can be strengthened through simple tricks. However, a deeper and more strategic perspective reveals discipline to be something far more profound, an internal war that demands a deliberate and consistent command over one's own impulses, emotions, and patterns of thought. This video reframes the nature of discipline through the lens of Niccolo Machiavelli, the Renaissance thinker who saw it not as a virtue for the morally upright, but as a tactical tool essential for survival and success in an unpredictable world. According to Machiavelli, discipline is not a moral choice or a sign of goodness, it is a requirement. In his view, a person without self-imposed structure becomes an open target, vulnerable to the whims of chance and the manipulations of others. Without order, the human psyche is subject to chaos. It is this chaos that Machiavelli feared, not as a philosophical idea, but as a practical reality that threatens both individual sovereignty and the stability of society. In his writings, he made it clear that the absence of discipline weakens a person, leaving them at the mercy of external circumstances. Discipline, therefore, is not something we practice to become virtuous, but something we wield to stay afloat in a world that does not guarantee fairness or stability. This approach to discipline reframes it as a kind of military campaign, an internal war. The battlefield is the mind. The enemies are procrastination, self-doubt, emotional reactivity, laziness, and fear. Winning this war means cultivating a deep and ongoing awareness of our own behavior. It requires a level of strategy that goes far beyond motivational mantras. Discipline must be cultivated like a general prepares for war, with structure, foresight, and an unflinching readiness to confront one's own weaknesses. In the Machiavellian sense, discipline is about controlling the inner terrain before attempting to command the outer world. Without that internal order, no external conquest or ambition can be sustained. This is what makes discipline so vital, not because it makes you a good person, but because it ensures your survival and enhances your ability to shape your life. Machiavelli understood that people are constantly subjected to forces beyond their control: fortune, society, circumstance, and the only antidote to these forces is an inner strength that can resist, adapt, and outmaneuver them. That strength is what he called virtue. Virtue in Machiavellian philosophy is not virtue in the traditional moral sense. It is not about being kind or morally upright. Rather, virtue is the power to act decisively and strategically in the face of uncertainty. It is the strength of character that allows a person to mold their fate instead of being crushed by it. And discipline is how virtue is cultivated. It is the mechanism by which resilience is built, not resilience born out of hope or positive thinking, but resilience forged in the fire of uncomfortable action and mental rigor. To Machiavelli, the world is ruled by fortuna, fate, chance, the unpredictable. He viewed fortuna as a river that can flood and destroy without warning. The only way to protect oneself against this force is by building dams and fortifications in advance. This is what discipline does. It is the internal architecture that keeps the mind and spirit from being swept away when circumstances turn turbulent. In this way, discipline becomes not just a tool, but a kind of spiritual and psychological armor. The video also critiques the modern illusion of discipline, often sold by the self-help industry. In this commodified view, discipline is reduced to life hacks, productivity checklists, or morning routines that promise transformation with minimal discomfort. But true discipline, as Machiavelli would argue, is uncomfortable. It is not glamorous or instantly rewarding. It is often painful. It asks us to confront our own patterns of self-sabotage and to continue forward even when every part of us wants to retreat. This form of discipline does not rely on feelings. It acts in spite of them. To embody this Machiavellian discipline, one must treat self-governance as a lifelong endeavor. The video outlines a method grounded in practical strategy. First, it emphasizes the importance of constant vigilance, through daily self-observation. This means creating a habit of checking in with one's own mind and behavior throughout the day, an internal audit to ensure that thoughts and actions are aligned with long-term goals. This kind of self-awareness is not passive, it is an active stance, one that mirrors a military commander surveying the field for potential threats. Second, the video suggests establishing clear routines. This is not about creating rituals for the sake of comfort, but about minimizing decision fatigue. By removing unnecessary choices, energy is conserved for the decisions that matter most. Structure reduces the power of impulse and preserves willpower for more critical tasks. When a routine is thoughtfully designed, it becomes a form of discipline in itself, a framework that guides behavior without requiring constant deliberation. Third, the method calls for the implementation of real consequences for failures. Without stakes, the mind becomes lax. Consequences sharpen the edge of intention. Whether it's a financial penalty, public accountability, or the removal of privileges, enforcing consequences brings weight to one's decisions. It transforms discipline from an abstract idea into a system backed by action. In this way, the internal war is supported by external reinforcements. The underlying message is clear. Discipline is not just an internal virtue or a personal trait, it is a necessary infrastructure for a meaningful life. Without it, ambitions remain fantasies, and potential becomes wasted energy. With it, even in the face of overwhelming odds, one can endure, adapt, and triumph. The video makes an impassioned call to action. Commit to self-governance. See discipline not as something to be attained, but as something to be practiced daily, with the same seriousness and dedication as any craft of survival. Ultimately, Machiavelli's view of discipline challenges us to step outside of idealism and confront reality as it is. The world is uncertain, chaotic, and often indifferent, but within us lies the power to respond strategically, to build the habits, structures, and internal clarity that turn disorder into opportunity. Discipline, then, is not just the key to success, it is the foundation of self-mastery. And in a world ruled by chance, self-mastery may be the only freedom we truly possess.